Well, while that's doing its little drying, I'm going to do a little sketch here. With the Hunt 107 nib. See how that turns out. We'll just do a little quick sketch. Someone with a big nose. Just a little quick sketch. The 107 nib is pretty neat for the basic art school level art supplies. It's nothing fantastic. There's a whole slew of different brands of nibs that I'm certain they're much more focused for what they're designed for. But yeah, it works. It follows through with what I intend for it to do. I've never been a big proponent of exotic and fancy art supplies. Because if you think about it, the Renaissance painters, they didn't have fancy manufacturing tools. They didn't have fancy alloys. They didn't have fancy synthetic materials. They basically had the hair of dead animals on sticks. And most of the paint was just essentially dirt, if you think about it. Most of the paints, either they were jewels that were ground up or oxides of certain metals, what metals they had available to them, iron, lead, etc. But for the most part, it was really enormously basic. And you see the stuff that they were able to create with such basic tools. And I would gamble that if one would stop obsessing over the tool itself and spend more time with the idea of what they're doing with the tool, I would say that the results would be better. The artist handbook, there was a part in there dealing with painting mediums. And one of the things that the author was talking about was this insistence somewhere along the line that somehow the Renaissance painters had some fantastic, fabulous, remarkable, wonderful, glorious, super secret scientific way of painting the way they did to create the effects that they did. And his presumption was that this was, in fact, not the case. It was just simple skill. And it would be, relatively easy to assign that one person fails creating a certain piece of artwork or fails in the result that they're looking for, whether it's brush strokes or depth or color or whatnot, that their failure results mostly in not having the proper tools. And in some cases, this might be the case. But generally speaking, it's just you got to know the tools that you're working with. And quite often, you don't need super awesome, fancy, hardcore, crazy tools. I see that with photography because I dabble in photography, not as a profession, but as a hobby. And I've mystified at people getting snookered into buying these extremely expensive lenses for marginal refinements. I mean, it looks impressive, and it sounds impressive that they're going to spend this amount of money on this lens or on this camera. But is it really that necessary? There we go. Pinocchio's evil twin.